Brent, thank you so much for kind of joining us as a judge for the Franchise Development Website Awards and for taking the time for this interview.
Yeah, of course. Happy to be here.
Perfect. So first, just to kick things off, wanted to see if we could just get kind of some overall thoughts or anything that stood out to you as you were taking a look at the sites that were nominated for the awards. Was there anything that stood out as, being a trend that you were seeing over and over again, or just kind of any overall thoughts that you have there?
Yeah, I mean, overall, so I looked at the 1851 Website Awards a couple years ago when you did it, and it was interesting and really cool for me to see just in 2 years how far the average franchise website had come.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that we put in an inordinate amount of time and energy. We have just at RainTree for 18 brands that we work with, we have 3 full-time website designers working on them every day, all day. And so that's how seriously we take the franchise site. And, 2 years ago, I felt at least we were leaps and bounds ahead of the average brand. But
Mm-hmm.
just seeing now how much the average brand stepped up and the effort that they're putting into it, most brands have realized the importance here and have come a long way, whether it's UX, UI, the actual content that they work on, their SEO efforts. For me, it was a huge improvement across this industry. So it was really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you were taking a look at some of these sites and you were noticing these improvements, what was it that stood out that really separated, the good from the great for you?
Yeah, I think the good from the great would be, I think, the UX. So when
Mm-hmm.
we look at sites, we really try and balance 2 things: the UI and the UX. And for me, the experience, how someone rolls through your site, how they digest the information, and that all comes down to where the where the content's placed, where the images are placed, where videos are placed. The options to click through to different pages or different sections. And I think that sites that clearly spent more time thinking carefully about that and not just kind of throwing something together that looked good for their brand,
Mm-hmm.
those are the sites that stood out. And I'm sure that they're the sites that convert well too.
Absolutely. And I think, talking about things like the content and the video and the audio and things like that, I think we're starting to see brands appreciate that more instead of it just being, either a one-page site or just here's a couple of quick facts about my brand. People are starting to realize that there needs to be some more content there that's visual and appealing to all different types of candidates, because otherwise, to your point, I don't think that conversions are going to be super high.
Right. I agree.
Absolutely. And how do you think, as working with brands that are, building these sites, how do you think the brands today can really win at digital marketing, even, with their FD sites and their presence and their digital footprint? Obviously being, paying attention to how the site is built, but what are the ways that you think brands are really winning today?
Yeah, I think winning brands, I mean, there's 2 stages to it, right? So for the website part that you just mentioned, I
Mm-hmm.
think that winning brands, our big secret that we share with brands when they join with RainTree is, hey, it's all about video.
Mm-hmm.
For us, we believe in video more than any other piece of collateral that we work on. We want to make sure that our franchise sites are littered with them and that they're really well done and they impact and that they add value to the user too. So um, we we spent a good deal of time every year with every brand. We usually do at least one shoot. We plan for weeks and ahead. We shoot for 2 days, and then we edit for weeks after.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's important when you look at what brands are spending on either the cost of their website or even just their marketing budgets. Most brands are spending $100,000-$200,000 on generating leads and creating awareness of the website. You've got to, at least in our opinion, spend 5-10% of that on actually ensuring that the content, when they do arrive, when you've got them there, is solid and adds value to them and excites them. And so for us, that's really what we've been focused on in this last year is video, video, video. Um, I think in terms of your wider question about digital marketing as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
for us, we believe in casting a pretty wide net actually on the digital marketing front. I think that most brands that we work with have a number of channels out in play at any one time. Most brands we work with are doing SEO, of course, to get people to that site, but we're also doing Google PPC ads. We do a lot of Facebook, Instagram ads. We work with a handful of portals. We obviously work with PR firms like yourself, and No Limit Agency and some other ones too. And we even do eBlasts. We're doing Google display ads. We're doing YouTube B-roll ads. We're doing a lot, and so what we're really doing though is really trying to use them as vehicles too back to the site. I see franchise brands now, and you see a lot of brands getting involved in things like Facebook and launching ads there. And you read the
Mhm.
ad, and it will be like a picture of the franchise, and it will say something like join our $2 billion industry, join XYZ franchise. And
Mhm.
you click it, and it's a lead form. And I believe that you've got to do a little bit more hard work than that to earn someone's buy-in, to earn their opt-in, to get them to convert. I mean, we talk about it here at RainTree all the time, and for me, I say, look, it's like me trying to kiss a girl before I even ask her on a date. It's not going to
Yeah.
work very well, especially when you look like me. But it's not going to work well. And even if it does, it's probably not the type of candidates that you want to invest in a long-term relationship like a franchise or a franchisee relationship anyway. So our goal is really to use all of those channels that we're doing, and as I said, casting that wide net, but to get them to the site, just to use them as a vehicle for traffic to the website, where we know that they're going to get all the information that they need, and then they'll be allowed to, they'll decide if they want to opt in or not at that point.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And today's, consumers and franchise candidates, they're smarter and have more resources and more information than, any other group of potential business owners have in the past. So if you're not directing them to a site that's going to have that content, they're going to go look elsewhere. And if it doesn't exist, they're going to move on to the next brand because there's no shortage of options. So completely agree that brands need to be taking seriously what they're putting out there, because whether it's there or not, whether it's good or bad, people are going to find out about it, and the way that, people do their due diligence today online.
Yeah, people are smart, and we're all getting really good at being detectives and getting all the information we need. So you better
Hmm.
put the effort into it. Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. And how do you think that, as this access to technology and as sites continue to evolve, how do you think that franchise development websites are going to continue changing within the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think we'll continue to put more effort, obviously, into our content. I think that, just like we talked about now, I think it's easy to get tricked into spending an inordinate amount of time in how something looks,
Yep.
rather than what we're actually trying to say. But there's a balance there. Um, I think that, in terms of the next few years, I see a few things happening. At least we've started discussing a few of these things here at RainTree.
Hmm.
The first thing is, we want to see a little bit more of our efforts go into SEO. We do a lot of work each weekday and month right now in trying to get folks organically to the site, but we don't foresee that going away anytime soon. So I think brands that spend a little bit more time, hire in-house a copywriter, a content writer, somebody that has those SEO skills, I think is a good position for a brand to be in. I think
Absolutely.
long term, there's a couple really cool things. I think that I see VR coming into play eventually on websites. We talked a little bit about, for one of my brands, Kid Create Studio. We
Hmm.
want to have an app on the franchise site where they can kind of download it from the site and stay in touch and go through a process through an app. But I mean, we kind of threw out the idea, and I think it's cool, the idea of VR coming into play one day soon too, where a candidate can essentially experience a discovery day and not have to fly out and just see one location, but they can do it through VR, through an app, and,
Yeah.
and see a number of locations and live it and breathe it and feel it all from the comfort of their home. So I think that VR could be an interesting addition to a site. And we also see AI, believe it or not, coming into play in the next few years here. We're already using it in our franchise sales CRM, in a way where AI can kind of, we have recordings of our calls, and it goes through all of this data and can understand, it pulls out words for candidates that move forward versus candidates that don't, and dissects that data and leverages that data way faster and at levels that I couldn't even imagine a human being doing. And we're starting to leverage that data now
Yeah.
for the sales process. And I see that coming into play too for franchise websites as well, in terms of Google Analytics really getting a lot more data leverage out of that, and really understanding how people are using sites to make them better from our end.
Yeah, absolutely. The sooner that brands across the industry are going to be open to accepting that type of technology, I mean, it's not going anywhere. That's been proven for sure over the past, decade or so. So the sooner that people are adapting and adding these things, I think the better off they're going to be in the long run to start converting some candidates and going through the process.
Absolutely.
Well, all right, Brent, thank you again so much for taking the time to do this interview and for being a judge. We appreciate it. And we're excited to see this play out over the course of the month on 1851.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.